You are now tuned in to Upskill Professionals, helping you forge a path upward. Because once you stop forecasting your future performance based on your past failures, you'll soon begin to realize just how within reach new heights truly are. Once again, my name is Chris. I'm your career coach here at Upskill Professionals, and today I want to talk to you about how you can turn your layoff into a liftoff. And as always, before I get into it, I want to help set the scene. It is a beautiful spring morning. The sun is streaming, the birds are chirping. You are headed into the break room to get your first coffee of the morning. And you think you overhear a group of colleagues speaking in hushed voices about someone in the office having been notified today. But you kind of brush it off because you're not going to interject in the conversation. Get your coffee, head back to the laptop, you're plugging away, and at some point later in the day, your manager gives you that ominous message. It just says, hey, got a moment. And this is when panic takes over you because you know that you are not prepared for the situation that you may be facing. And this is the first error that I see a lot of professionals commit. It is acceptance. Once you come to accept the things that you cannot change or influence, you are allowing yourself the freedom and the opportunity to prepare for resilience, to prepare to build back better. And so, listen, layoffs are a reality. A Zippia study found that 40% of professionals can expect to be impacted at some point in their career, and even more professionals than that have anxiety about potential layoffs. And the reality is tens of millions of Americans are laid off every year. And no amount of overachievement, no amount of overperformance, no HR case is typically going to get you out of these situations because layoffs are not about you as the individual. They are about changing business priorities and team performance. And so I want to empower you today with the 3 things that you can do to prepare yourself for resilience. And by the way, even if you never get laid off, these 3 things are going to help you accelerate your career progression and advancement anyway. So definitely stay tuned in. The first thing that you want to do is keep your eyes open and your ears tuned in. Stay aware of what's going on in terms of market and industry dynamics, in terms of your company's priorities, and in terms of leadership changes that are happening around you. These are all potential indicators of future further change that may happen and impact your team. And listen, you can never with 100% preempt a layoff with 100% certainty. But oftentimes, before a restructuring happens, before these types of team impacts happen, the tea leaves are floating in the water and there is some indication that change is coming. And so the way that you tune in to these 3 things is by listening and tuning into some of the all hands meetings, some of the ask me anything meetings that are happening at the company level or at your business unit level. Any of those meetings where your leadership teams are talking about their current priorities and their plans over the next quarter, half, or fiscal year. This is where you get the inside scoop of where things are being deprioritized and where things are being prioritized or reprioritized. So that's the first avenue. The second avenue is you want to stay tuned into any internal communications that are published for employees. This may be emails from the CEO or from leadership about new leadership changes. This may be a portal where company articles are published internally. And then the third thing that you want to stay tuned into is the news. What's happening with your company's stock price? What are ARs or analyst relation companies and point of contacts publishing about your company and its portfolio, its products and services? What are some of your competitors doing? So you want to stay tapped into these 3 news sources. And I want to give you an example of how staying tuned in can preempt a potential layoff situation and help you prepare for resilience. Let's imagine that you are a customer support representative or engineer, and you happen to know that over the past year, your company's customer satisfaction or CSAT scores have been particularly atrocious. And so you're heading into work one morning, you're checking the news, and all of a sudden, what's this? You see that your company has surfaced its intention to acquire a company that has built a customer relationship management or CRM software platform that has helped some of its previous clients turn their CSAT scores around. And so now that you see this, you are aware that your CSAT scores are low. Your company is attempting to acquire a company that can help it improve its CSAT scores, which means that when your company closes this acquisition, they are likely looking to make a cultural change. They're likely looking to bring those resources and that software into the company to improve their customer experience. And what does that mean for you? Well, you being a customer success or customer service representative or engineer, that is likely going to impact your business unit one way or another. Either you're going to get a whole bunch of new colleagues, you're going to get some new colleagues, and some of the positions that are currently in the business are going to be cut, or this new company could come in and completely overhaul the existing customer support structure. Either way, 2 out of 3 of those situations lead to the potential of negative impact in your role. And so now you have the awareness to prepare for resilience. The second thing that you want to do when it comes to turning your potential layoff into a liftoff is you want to make sure that you are networking, building, solidifying, nurturing your network. Your network is your net worth. Your network is your safety net. And listen, I don't want to belabor the point of networking in this video. I'm going to be talking about it in plenty of future videos. You're going to get sick of it. But the one thing that I do want to call out here is the common mistake that people make when it comes to networking for a situation where you have to rely on your network in the event of a layoff. Because oftentimes when professionals network, they network within their teams. They're networking to strengthen the relationships that they have on a working basis with their key stakeholders that they add value with, or with the team that they work within. But here's the problem with that when it comes to layoffs. Let's just take the example that I shared with you earlier. If your company is acquiring another company to bring in customer support resources, which is the team that you're in, there is a strong likelihood that any leadership within customer support or customer experience is not hiring because they've just acquired a company to bring in new resources. So the network that you built within your team likely is not going to be able to help pull you out of this layoff situation. Moreover, the company itself may be on a hiring freeze because anytime there's an acquisition, that is a cash strapping event for the company. They've had to either shell out a lot of liquid cash or take on debt to acquire a company. And so there's a likelihood that there may be a hiring freeze across your company. But not only that, it's not only you that's being impacted in these situations. Your other colleagues are often going to be looking for a job within the company as well. And so there's even more competition, even if your company is still hiring, to fill and obtain those roles. And so what you need to be doing is not only networking across business units within your company, but also networking across companies, across your industry. So that way, when your company does announce layoffs, when it potentially announces that hiring freeze, you have a bridge to other companies, to roles in other parts of the industry that you can rely on and begin to build that bridge into your future. Now, the third thing that you want to do when it comes to preparing for resilience in the face of a potential layoff is you want to make sure that you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. I want you to imagine that you have 6 months of expenses just sitting in your bank account, liquid cash. You can take it out at any point in time, no penalties, no fees. And your manager comes to you and says, hey, really sorry about this. Company's going a different direction. We're unfortunately going to have to lay you off. Imagine the peace that 6 months of financial stability provides you. Now, obviously, yes, you're going to be emotionally distraught about losing your job. Maybe you love the position you were in. Maybe you loved your manager and your company. But this 6 months of financial stability is going to allow you to work through those feelings, process those feelings. A layoff all of a sudden becomes an invitation to a 1 week vacation, if you so desire, to go out, take a moment to deal with the impact that you're feeling, to strategize on the next steps that you want to take in your career. Come back and start looking for a new role with intention. So that way you can build your career and forge your path upward, as opposed to if you had no financial runway ahead of you when you get notified. And in that situation, you are looking for any job that you can find: McDonald's, Burger King, Target, Walmart, UPS, Lyft driver, Uber driver, DoorDasher, whatever you can do to begin generating income again, because bills are due, rent is due, utilities are due. You have to put food on the table for your family and your kids. This is why having 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund is important. It allows you to turn a layoff situation into a massive stress that requires imminent action, to the opportunity to forge a path strategically that will be an accelerant in your long-term career development. And so these are the 3 things that I want you to be doing in terms of preparing for resilience, preparing to turn your layoff into a liftoff. And again, if you never get notified, these 3 things are just going to improve your career and your life anyway. Stay tuned to what's happening across the industry and the business. It's going to help you potentially foresee warning signs of a layoff, and at worst, it's just going to help you build your business acumen and have better conversations with leadership, because the market, the industry, is what your leadership is tapped into and concerned about. Number 2, make sure that you are diversifying your network. Just like you want to diversify your investment portfolio to build for safety, your network is your safety net. Diversify your network across business units and across companies. And number 3, build your emergency fund of 3 to 6 weeks. When you get notified with an emergency fund, this becomes all of a sudden an invitation to take some time to deal with the emotional impact of your notification, to strategize a path upward, and to begin forging and building that bridge to the next step in your career with intention, as opposed to with blind urgency. And I want to leave you with this, okay? Unplanned unemployment is tough. Sometimes it will blindside you. You won't see it coming. But I have seen plenty of professionals turn their layoff into a liftoff, into a positive inflection point in their career. The only way that you can do that is if you prepare with these 3 steps that I'm giving you. Accept the fact that layoffs are a reality. They may never happen. They may happen. But in the potentiality that they do happen, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And this is Upskill Professionals. Listen, a career is a long journey to sojourn without a guide. If you don't believe that you can do better, I'm here to make sure you know better. Upskill Professionals, helping you forge a path upward.